Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us today. I am Kathy Meter. I'm the VP of Events and Education at the RSPA, and I'm being joined today for our exhibitor webinar by Chris Arnold, our Director of Member Services and Marketing, and by Denise Martin, our fabulous partner at GES. We scheduled this webinar today just to share with our exhibitors, both new and longtime exhibitors, some additional insight into the services that GES has to offer, what they provide for the RetailNOW show, and how you as an exhibitor can take advantage of savings. We want to review some of the deadlines and how that helps you save money as an exhibitor. We are hoping that you have questions that we can answer. So if you do have questions, feel free to type them into that question box at any time. We'll do our best to look for those and answer them as we go through the content and the materials. And then we will definitely get to all of them at the end of the presentation. So let's go ahead and get started. Today, we're going to talk about our RetailNOW show schedule. We're going to talk specifically about events and hours that are important for exhibitors. As I mentioned, we want to talk about the services that GES provides to our show. We think it's really important that our exhibitors understand exactly what GES is providing to us. We're going to review important dates and deadlines for you as exhibitors to take advantage of in order to recognize cost savings. We'll talk about ordering products and services for your booth. Again, cost saving tips, and we'll leave you with some resources and some ways to get support both pre-show and while you're on site. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chris Arnold, and he's going to talk about the RetailNOW show schedule. Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Kathy. All right. For our exhibitors, the official move-in hours are Saturday, July 25th, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then again, Sunday, July 26th, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. For the exhibitor show floor hours, I just wanted to call out real quick that these times differ by about 30 minutes from the attendee agenda that you see on the RetailNOW website. And that is because we allow our exhibitors to access the show floor 30 minutes prior to attendees for final preparation each day. So just again, these differ by 30 minutes from what you would see on your traditional RetailNOW agenda. For our exhibitors, your show floor hours are Sunday, July 26th between 4:30 p.m. and 8 p.m., Monday, July 27th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., Tuesday, July 28th, 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then as you see down here, right after the conclusion of the show floor on Tuesday, exhibitor move out will take place from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. And after move out, the other dates to be aware of, the GES warehouse pickup begins at 8 a.m. on Friday, July 31st, and ends on Friday, August 7th for you guys, between that 8 to 4:30 p.m. to pick up all your materials or have the inbound carriers pick them up. Just a reminder, direct show shipments will not be accepted at Caesars Forum Conference Center. All exhibit materials must be sent in advance to the GES warehouse. I won't read all this, but I know we'll get into more details about how to ship materials in a little bit. But Denise, do you want to walk us through a little bit of the services that you guys offer?
Of course, thank you. So thank you to RSPA for allowing us this opportunity today. I represent GES. Michael Ferguson, our client services manager, is also on our call today. So between the two of us, any questions you have, we will be able to answer them regarding what we do or the services we offer as the official contractor for RetailNOW. So our goal, quite honestly, is to make your experience a great experience. That's why we're doing this webinar, so we can answer questions in advance. As we get through the deck, we're offering, our information and names, email addresses, so that if you have additional questions afterwards, you can feel free to reach out to Mike and I. So thank you to RSPA for the opportunity. So these are the services that we provide as the official contractor for RetailNOW. I don't recall the number of years, but we have been the contractor for this conference for a long, long time. So we're very familiar with the event and what the requirements are for the event. So these are the services we provide. Material handling, that's all the freight that comes in and out for the event. As Chris mentioned, in this particular venue, Caesars Forum does not allow us as a contractor to receive any freight directly. So you'll see when we get to that part in the exhibitor kit, we have shipping labels in the kit. That makes it easy. It has our address on it, and it tells you exactly where to ship your materials, your crates, your individual product, and any boxes that you might have. Booth furnishings and accessories, that's we have a whole array of different furniture options, flooring options, tables and chairs. There's what we call standard furniture as well as custom. So a little bit more upgraded, like couches and more living room type furniture if you were looking for more of a lounge within your booth space. Cleaning, we handle all the cleaning at the facility. So we will make sure that everything is vacuumed the night before. But if you decide that you want any cleaning or vacuuming within your own space, then you would have to order that service through GES.
Hey, Denise,
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, Denise, I just wanted to make a comment around the cleaning. So you'll notice that when Chris reviewed the exhibit hall hours, we do close the exhibit hall from 3 to 4:30 on Sunday. This is so that the entire exhibit hall can be cleaned by GES, so the aisleways are clean. We do really ask that exhibitors exit the exhibit hall for that hour and a half so that GES can get that done. So for those of you who are joining us today, we definitely appreciate your cooperation in clearing the hall so that we can do that pre-show cleaning so it looks really good when we open.
Yeah. Especially since you have your reception right on the
Yes.
show floor, right? That makes sense. So thank you for that. Graphics. So a lot of you bring your own custom exhibits and already have artwork and graphics for your booth. But if you need assistance with a sign, a hanging banner, a design for a particular exhibit, we have an in-house graphics team that can assist with that. We also offer custom exhibits. So if you are an exhibitor that doesn't have your own booth and you wanted to actually have a structure, you'll see when you go through and navigate the exhibitor kit that we offer several packages, and we package those products, those booths, with labor. So we try and package things to make it the most cost effective for you. Our GES Plus series is where we bundle product and service with labor. So a lot of times, especially those that have been to other trade shows or have, repeat exhibitor for RetailNOW, a lot of times you'd have to order, a product. Let's say you ordered an exhibit and then you got your invoice and you found that you had to pay labor over and above that. So you'll see in the kit, we call it our GES Plus series, and it's where we package everything. So it's one price, which helps you to budget for your expense at the show. And then logistics, we have a logistics department that can handle the transportation. If you need assistance with us making arrangements for round trip shipping, inbound and outbound, we can assist you with that. Okay, next slide. Oh, Chris, I think you're going to review the important dates.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Denise. The first date to be aware of is the GES discount deadline. As you just heard, Denise and the GES team offer a lot of great services, and I know a lot of our exhibitors take advantage of those year over year. But we do want you guys to be aware of the GES discount deadline, which is Thursday, July 16th. If you order and pay for your order by July 16th, you can save 25%. Again, rates will increase by about 25% after July 16th. So please get those orders in, pay for them early, and save yourself at least 25%. Also, just some other dates to be aware of for shipments. Please note the Advance warehouse will begin accepting shipments on Friday, June 26th, and they will accept them all the way through Friday, July 17th. So please get your shipments over to the warehouse in time. And just also something to note, please be aware the GES warehouse will be closed July 2nd and 3rd in observance of Independence Day. So just something to be aware of if you are planning to ship to the Advanced warehouse. Again, if you need a shipping label, those are available on the GES Espresso site, which is accessible through the RetailNOW Exhibitor Hub. I know Denise will get into that in just a little bit, where you can find it and how to fill it out correctly. And also, just one more reminder, direct shipments will not be accepted at the Caesars Forum Convention Center. Please send all shipments through the GES warehouse.
Thank you, Chris. So Chris mentioned Expresso. That is our online ordering platform for you as exhibitors. So anything that you need in terms of products and services we offer is all contained within Expresso. You would have already received notice from our office with letting you know that the link is live. It's been live for quite some time now. So if you haven't taken a look at it yet, you can go into Expresso by GES. This is actually the cover page of what you'll see when you go in there. And then you'll find, like this slide indicates, there'll be separate tabs for specific areas. So the first being show information. That's going to kind of reiterate what Chris and Kathy and I have already reviewed, the discount deadline dates, reminders about when you can ship your freight, when you can pick up your freight. It'll link also to RSPA's site. So anything that you could possibly need for you exhibiting in this event will be on this, be on Expresso. So we try and make it as easy as possible to navigate. But if you find when you're on there that you have any problems or need assistance, we do have a chat button. We also post a toll-free number that you can talk to one of our exhibitor service representatives. So if you have any difficulties when you're doing it, we have folks available to assist you. But you'll see when you go through on the left-hand side, there'll be every tab to also include the services that Caesars Forum provides. So for example, the electric, the rigging, some of the services are provided by Caesars Forum and not GES, and you will see that tab in Expresso as well.
So Denise, let me just jump in since you mentioned it. Just to reiterate, if you're looking for internet services or electrical services, or if you are hanging something above your booth and require rigging, those services are all exclusive to Encore. And as Denise mentioned, there's a link to Encore on the GES site. There's also a link to the Encore site on the RSPA Exhibitor Resource Hub. If you still can't find the information you need for Encore, just reach out to your member services manager. But I know a lot of people do require internet, and almost everybody requires electric in their booth. So I wanted to reiterate that is through a different vendor provider. That is through Encore, not GES.
Correct. Yes, thank you, Kathy. So, so for those of you that are repeat exhibitors for RetailNOW, or if you've exhibited at another conference or event where GES was the contractor, you already have a login and you already have an account with us. So basically, if you're a repeat exhibitor, that same login that you used for RetailNOW in the past or another event is the same login you would use for this year's event. So we try and simplify it so you don't have to keep setting a new password every year. But if you are brand new, if you're a first-time exhibitor, there are 3 steps that are indicated on this slide, which basically you have to create an account, put in your username and a password, and then they'll ask you for your booth number and the company name. So we already have all the exhibitors loaded into our system. So our system will recognize that, hey, you are an exhibitor in booth 519 at the RetailNOW show. But if you're not, if you're first time, you need to first establish an account with us. One of the nice things about our program, for those of you who are repeat, let's say you were in a 10 by 10 booth last year and you want to duplicate exactly what you ordered last year, our system allows you, we can pull all your previous orders. So if you say, I want the exact same thing that we had last year, we have those records of what you've ordered, and it'll make it easier for you to order the same thing this year. So just a service we offer to make it a little bit easier for you. Okay. Material handling, we all talk about that. That's freight, right? That's the only exclusive service, if you will, for GES or for any contractor at an event. So a couple things to note on this. One is, and we keep talking about the discount deadline date, that is going to be the most cost effective, the lowest rate you can get. So we encourage you to meet the deadline. We remind you of that over and over again because there is a substantial difference. And the reason there's higher rates when you get to show site is because contractors can't possibly plan for enough labor or enough equipment if everybody waited to the last minute to place orders. So you can imagine if all of a sudden 100 exhibitors all needed forklifts at the same time, we may not have enough forklifts to accommodate if we don't plan in advance of what the needs are. So that's why you're always going to have an advanced rate and a show site rate. So a couple things to note, and this happens at every event, every show, somebody's missing a package. And I will tell you, there are times where we've misplaced something or we've lost something, and we're the first ones to say, okay, we're going to find this package. But you can imagine on large shows, there's a lot of freight that comes in. So some of the things that we ask you to do to help us track things is to label everything properly. Let's say you're shipping in 25 boxes and you decided to ship them individually versus palletizing them and shrink wrapping them as one whole pallet. It's very easy for some of those boxes to get lost. So we ask that you think about that when you're putting your shipment together. If you have a bunch of boxes, try and ship them as one shipment if you can. And then we always ask that you bring your shipping information with you, because a lot of times maybe somebody in your office is placing your orders, but somebody else is actually manning your booth at the show. So sometimes because there's different folks placing orders, you get to show site, and if something's missing, the first thing we're going to ask you is for your tracking information. We're going to ask you for the information, what carrier did you use, so that we can help track your freight. So just a couple things. I also recommend that you take pictures, a photo of your shipment. If it's a crate or a pallet or an individual box, that's very helpful. And then bring along copies of your bills of lading. So it's just to simplify it, because when you have many exhibitors and everybody shipping and stuff, it's very easy for things to get misplaced or separated from your other shipments. We mentioned a couple times the shipping label in there. That's already in Espresso. So, just print the number of labels you need and affix those to your boxes and your crates. One thing, and this happens all the time too, is if you don't print that label and you do your own labels, just make sure you're including the same information. I can't tell you how many times somebody ships in a box and they say, I'm ABC company and I'm in booth 500, but then they don't list the show. I can tell you as a contractor, were weeks where we could have 5 or 6 shows going on at the same time. So you can imagine if the name of the show is not listed, how easy your package could be mixed up with another event. So please, let's help ourselves. If you don't mind filling out that information and bringing it, that'll make things a lot easier at show site. Okay, next slide. Exhibitor appointed contractors. A lot of you use outside companies to transport your materials and or order labor to set your booth. That's completely fine, but there is a section in the Espresso kit that asks you to fill out a couple forms. So we need to have notice of the company that you've hired to handle the labor in your booth or to do the shipping. And then with that, they have to submit their certificate of insurance. And this is all due to liability and safety. And so it's a requirement if you've decided to hire an EAC, which is fine, just to make sure that that paperwork is submitted in advance. And you'll see on the screen, we've highlighted in the blue square below where you can find the EAC information. Okay, Chris? So cost saving tips and tricks. Again, you're going to get tired of us talking about the discount deadline date, but we reiterate that just because we want you, why pay for more if you don't have to? So under quick facts, it'll reiterate the discount deadline dates. It'll remind you of the shipping dates. The only other date that's different, you'll see on this slide where it says exhibit system orders. Those are those booth packages that I mentioned earlier. If you decided you wanted to actually rent a structure all inclusive, that's a different deadline date just because most of the time when you order that, we also need to produce your graphics. And so we like to get a jump start on that with artwork that's submitted in advance. So that's why that deadline date is a little bit earlier than the discount deadline date, if you decide you order that. So next, exhibitor resources. So I always like to highlight this in Expresso because especially if you're a first-time exhibitor, right? If you're first time, you may not be familiar enough with the event. You may not be familiar with Caesars Forum, the venue. You may never have worked with GES before. So under the exhibitor resource tab in Expresso is all kinds of things to make your experience a good experience and to make it easy for you to get your questions answered. So things like helping you plan your booth space, a checklist that says, have you done this, this, and this to make it easy for you. If you have questions on how do I ship my materials to and from, there's a whole, information on how to do that. So these are all guidelines to help you make sure that you've done everything you needed to do in advance of participating. So I encourage you, especially if you're a first-time exhibitor, this is one option that you can go and read these, go through the different tabs and get educated on those particular subjects. Or you can opt to use our chat or our toll-free line, or simply reach out to Mike and I, right? If you have a question and you want to email me directly or Mike, we're happy to address your questions. But this is a great resource for you as an exhibitor. Okay. And then exhibitor success, that's what we call our exhibitor service department. So their team is responsible for the pre-work, on-site work, and post-work. So we will have representatives in advance. Like I said, you can use the chat, reach out to us on the toll-free number, which is listed on this slide. Or you can simply reach out to Mike and I. But basically, they will be your same person that can answer your questions in advance. And then at show site, we will have representatives at our service desk, as well as on the show floor to assist you. So, and then post-show, let's say you have a question on your invoice. Let's say, you're curious about when your product is going to be shipped back to your office. Any questions you might have post, that same team would be the same ones to help to assist you post-show as well. Okay, Chris. So, and then, like I mentioned, the pre, the on-site, and post. One of the things that we initiated, I'm going to say maybe 4 years ago, is a texting program. So for those of you that exhibit in a lot of events, I'm sure there are times where it was frustrating because you needed to order something or you needed to check on something and you stood in line at the service desk for a long period of time. So we started a texting program. And you'll see when you get to show site, we will have signs posted at the entrance on the show floor, giving you the text number. So if you're busy setting up your booth and you don't want to stand in line and you don't want to walk to the service desk, all you have to do is use that text number and text what your inquiry is, and our team will respond to you without you having to go to the service desk. So it's really cut down on the time that folks have to wait in line during busy periods. And they can check on something. You can say, hey, I ordered a 6-foot table for my booth. It hasn't been delivered yet. Making sure you have my order. Can you check on my order? So we just do that to make it convenient for you, so you don't have to stand in line if you don't want to. Again, we're trying to make your experience the best experience possible. I keep mentioning that you can reach out to our team. So these are 4 folks, usually where we get a lot of questions in advance. One is you can reach out to Mike or I with anything. If you prefer, rather than using the chat on Expresso, feel free to send either one of us an email and we will answer your questions. I also put in the toll-free number for logistics because a lot of folks need assistance with shipping your product in. And then that is our toll-free number for our service center. So you'll see the hours from 9 a.m. Eastern time to 7 p.m. So the hours are extended if you need assistance, after normal 5 o'clock working hours. So hopefully, just if anything with this webinar, I know they recorded it, but take down that information so that if you do need any assistance, that's what we're here for. So thank you. Questions? Does anybody have any questions for us?
So just a couple questions that came through.
Okay.
But they're actually for me. So
okay, no worries.
So everybody who registered will get a link to the recording, and we'll go ahead and attach these slides to that recording link as well, so that people have them. Somebody asked if they would get the slides after the webinar. And then there was a question on lead retrieval, when lead retrieval information will be sent out. And the RSPA will be sending that information out to exhibitors on Monday, which I believe is June 15th. So they can look for that then. One thing, Denise, I think maybe to recap would be good. A couple of actions that, I would recap for everybody. So direct to the advanced warehouse. All shipments should be to the advanced warehouse. No direct shipments to the site. Advanced warehouse opens on June 26th and closes on July 17th. So that's the window that shipments should arrive. And exhibitors can access shipping labels on the Expresso site, and strongly encourage everybody to complete all the information. So that helps GES in the instance that a package is lost. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, use the labels. They're there so that you don't have to hand write every single thing other than putting in your company name and your booth number. And it has the proper address. It has the show name. So we just try and make it easy for you just to print those and affix those same labels to your packages. Yes, that's, and then bring your shipping information with you. Bring a copy of that bill of lading, especially if you're using a common carrier, right? If you used ABC Trucking Company and something doesn't get there to GES on time, we can help you track that if you bring your bill of lading and your shipping information. And then one other thing, Kathy, that I failed to mention is sometimes we get questions regarding labor. It is union labor on the show floor. And so you will also see in the kit all the different union rules and regulations and jurisdictions, because they have jurisdiction to provide labor, to set and dismantle exhibits. The typical rule of thumb, if you have 1 or 2 packages and you get to the forum, you can hand carry 1 or 2 packages into the facility, but anything past a small box or 2, that has to go through us, through material handling, for the labor to handle. So sometimes people get confused on that. If you're setting up a big truss structure, you're not allowed to walk that through the lobby at Caesars Forum and into the doors. You're not allowed to have a team of 10 people carrying something large in. And I just like to point it out, just because sometimes there's confusion of what you can or can't do with the union regulations. So if you have questions on that, feel free to ask.
Very helpful. That's very helpful. I'll do one last call. If anybody has a question they want to type into the chat, I'll get to those before we hang up. One more thing, Denise, I just wanted to reiterate the deadlines for everybody. So any GES orders need to be submitted by July 16th in order to receive that 25% discount. Prices go up after the 16th, correct?
Correct, yes.
And then if they are selecting or ordering a booth package from GES that includes graphics, that deadline would be June 24th.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And that's marked in the kit as well. That's just to allow time, because let's say you are ordering a booth and you want your entire back wall with your graphics, your logo. There's also a graphics submission guide in the kit that tells you this is how we prefer the artwork to be submitted. This is the type of file that we can work with. And if something is sent in and maybe the artwork is grainy or it doesn't work, our graphics team would notify Mike and I, and then we would reach out to you and say, hey, this artwork doesn't work, or can you send this in a different type of file? So all of that information is in the kit as well. And it's just a link of how you submit your artwork.
Yep.
So you'll see that as well.
Thank you.
Of course.
So we did get a couple questions that came in. So back to the advanced warehouse shipment directive. Somebody is asking a small table, like a small folding table and 2 chairs, like if that can be carried in, that is that an example of something that is okay?
Yeah. Yes, and there's also some of you may have those fiber cases with those pop-up backdrops, if you will. Some of them are through Skyline. Some of you may have that. So if it's that one little fiber case and it has wheels on it, no one's going to stop you. You can easily bring that in. We're talking about when it gets to be larger structures, and if the union sees 10 guys trying to bring in a big structure through the front door at the forum, they will stop you. They will stop you. So we just like to point it out. I mean, they're good about it. It's just if it gets into something that's more extensive, then they will come talk to you about having to use our services.
Yeah, and I think if it could possibly damage the facility, that's
the other thing. Yeah, I mean, the forum is just lovely, right? It's one of the nicest facilities here in Las Vegas, and they're very particular, which I can understand, because the venue's only maybe 5 years old at this point, and so they're very particular about not wanting any damage at their facility, which I can understand. So a lot of facilities will allow us to receive freight there. They do not. They're very particular. So let's say you miss the deadline date, right? You have the window of when you're supposed to ship in your crates or your product or your boxes. If that happens, we have to have a cutoff at some point. And the reason there's a cutoff is now our entire team is at the forum as well, moving in the show. So at some point you have to say, you got to make this deadline to load it on our trucks and deliver all the freight to the forum. If for some reason your carrier misses that, they will still have to go back to our warehouse, and you could incur extra charges, right? If we need to bring a team in, I mean, our warehouse is open every day, but if you missed that deadline for this show and they had to do a separate transportation of your freight, you will pay extra labor for that. So you want to really be careful when and whatever carrier you use, or if you're shipping in by FedEx or UPS, we get probably 20 to 40 trailers of UPS and FedEx freight a day at our warehouse. So I reiterate that just because there's a lot of events happening at the same time. So as long as you're completing and filling out the information correctly, you will see your freight in your booth when you get to the forum. So,
one more question. Do we need to submit a certificate of insurance, and when is it due?
So if it's using an EAC, that is due on the same discount deadline date. You'll see that in Expresso.
And an EAC, an EAC, just for clarification?
I'm sorry, yes, exhibitor appointed contractor. So let's say you're in a 20 by 30 booth and you use an outside exhibit house, if you will, to transport and or handle the setup and tear down of your booth. So the proper terminology is an exhibitor appointed contractor. So if you are using an outside company, then we need you to notify. There's a form that you fill out their information, who that show site contact is, right? So if they need to get in touch with us or we need to reach out to them, we know who's handling your specific labor in your booth. And yes, it does require a certificate insurance, and they have to submit that. Otherwise, they're not permitted to work on the show floor. And that's with any trade show across the country. And the reason that is for liability and safety purposes, right? Because they want to know who's working. It's the same thing that we as a contractor or one of the EACs do not allow people to use their equipment, because God forbid if somebody got hurt, right? There'd be an issue there. So that is required. Kathy, for your association, I'm not so sure if you require insurance from your exhibitors separately or not.
That's a great question. I would have to go back and look and see. I don't want to guess because I'm not 100% sure. What I will say, for the majority of you on this call, the EAC is not applicable. It's primarily for the larger 20 by 40 and 20 by 30 booths on site that have third parties come in and build their booth. There was a follow-up question saying if you're not using a third party, it's just a team, 2 or 3 people on the team setting up a pop-up display. No, you do not need to submit a certificate of insurance for that. It's only when you're hiring and paying a third party to come in and do that work that you need to worry about the certificate of insurance. And if you're unsure, just reach out to GES and ask, and they can help you. But for the majority of you on this call right now, that does not apply to you.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you for asking the question, though.
Of course, yeah.
Is there anybody else before we close out who wants to submit a question? Again, everybody will receive a link to the recording as well as the slide deck. And certainly, as Denise has mentioned several times this afternoon, the GES team, Denise and Mike, as well as the support center, are there to answer your questions, to help. And certainly your member services managers and our events team, also there to help and with questions. So I do have one last minute question. We're working with an EAC for our booth setup. How do I add the material handling requirement, and what is the deadline to pay for it?
Okay, so there is in Expresso, under the shipping tab is where all the material handling rates are. And there's a form that you fill out that says we're shipping in 3,000 pounds. And that'll help you estimate what your material handling costs will be. So not only do you fill out the paperwork for your EAC, then there is a separate form for material handling. And then one of the things you'll see on those forms is who you want to receive the billing. So, and a lot of times, if you've hired an EAC, they handle everything. So a lot of times they place your orders, and then all the billing goes to them from GES to them as a third party. If you prefer that some of those services are separated, or you want the billing direct, you just need to indicate that on the paperwork. You'll see there's a thing that says, like, you know, is your EAC taking the billing, or are you taking it directly? But it's the same form that everybody fills out for material handling, where you estimate what the total weight is coming in. We have scales, so your bill of lading will also indicate what your weight is, right? That's always on the carrier's bill of lading, that information. So, but if you have questions when you're going through it, please reach out to me.
Yeah, if you run into any issues while you're filling out those forms, or you don't have the information you need, just reach out to Denise or Mike, and they can help you with that.
Yeah. And Mike and I, like I said, Mike has been with RSPA and RetailNOW for many years. He's probably more knowledgeable than most of us. So he is available as well. And then the two of us will be at show site. So along with our team, he and I will be there from the first day of setup till the final, tear down. So at least you have some consistency with folks. So if you have questions in advance, reach out to us, and then we will be at show site as well to assist.
Okay. Well, Denise, thank you so much for joining us and sharing the information with our exhibitors. And to the exhibitors on the call today, thank you so much for joining. We hope this was beneficial. Again, you'll receive the information from today's call. And if you need anything between now and show, please reach out to GES, reach out to your member services managers, or reach out to events. We're here to support you and help to make your exhibit experience, as smooth as possible. We're looking forward to seeing everybody next month. Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.